Today on the Motherhood Network, we're joined by a woman whose voice has uplifted generations and whose heart continues to pour into both her music and her motherhood journey. Ntokozo Mbambo is a multi-award-winning gospel artist, a devoted wife and mother, and a woman whose faith, grace, and authenticity shine through in everything she does. From joining Joyous Celebration at the age of 15 to becoming a household name with chart-topping albums, Ntokozo's musical journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. But beyond the stage, she walks a powerful personal path with the Almighty, navigating motherhood, love, loss, and healing with a depth that truly inspires. Are we rolling?
Are we rolling?
Okay, action. Welcome to the Motherhood Network, a platform you deserve. And today, we're joined by the phenomenal Ntokozo Mbambo, gospel powerhouse, devoted mother, loving mother, of course, also a loving wife. We love her so much. Her stage presence, her faith, just a love for life in general is the reason why we are absolutely not only honored, humbled to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
Yeah, but that's the truth.
I love you.
I love you too. And listen, people who love us too are our husbands.
Yes, ma'am.
How incredible.
It's such a blessing.
I'm actually not sure because I feel like Zex even loves your husband more than me. Because he's like, Ngubeko, first, I need advice on, that's all I ever hear. All the time. But it's such a blessing. Thank you so much once again for being a part of the Motherhood Network.
Thank you for having me. This is beautiful. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah, it's a safe space for all mothers. And mothers that not only inspire us, but are willing to be vulnerable about their journey, you know, and all of that, you know, and just celebrating life as well. So yes, I want to tell you a little story that you guys have had to keep quiet about this until this moment. The moment I knew that we had made the right decision with one of you as a guest is I was at a certain salon. I'm going to give you a hint, Nyana,
Yeah.
doing my nails.
Okay.
And a Greek lady was telling me that she had recently, unfortunately, lost her mother. And so we were speaking about motherhood and losing our mothers and what does that mean, you know, with the whole stuff. And she said, nice. I want to recommend someone you can have on your show. And I said, who? And she said, Ntokozo Mbambo. And I said, you won't believe it.
Are you for real?
We're actually going to have her on our show. And then I could tell, like, I don't think she believes me. So then I showed my messages and I said, look. And she said, wow. And I said, what a moment. Because that clearly means that this was meant to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, that is so special.
Yeah. And the person I'm speaking about is Sandy. Of course, we can't say her salon name, but right? And she was just like, and I wanted to find out from her because, guys, this is a Greek lady. So,
Yeah.
you know, just incredible. And I said, why do you think so? And she's like, you know, everyone can relate to her. She's a powerhouse. She's a safe space for everyone and for mothers in general.
Oh,
And I just thought,
Sandy.
right? How
That's
incredible.
so special.
Yeah. So you're that person, just so you know. Even for the Greeks, man. For everybody, man. For all of us.
Oh.
And so it takes me back, like I said, our husbands know each other from tertiary days.
Yes.
Doing music.
Yeah. They even had a business together.
They had a business together.
They bought a van together.
They go way, way back.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful as well, the fact that they've both done so well in their lives.
They have.
Right? Staying true to their passions.
Mm.
But also done well with the wives. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. They need to know. No, but I must say, I always want to say that Ngubego's done amazing with you. You know, I love the fact that he always owns the story that, you know, he could see you there from afar initially. The closer you get. And I think, I'm not sure if he's been transparent about this part, that he was eyeing you for a minute. Like, you see you.
He always denies it. He always acts very cool. It's like, no. I'm like, you were checking me out.
But deep down, right? He knew you were the one. Oh, man. So that's what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating your life and your legacy already, which is incredible because you've started so young. So we're going to take it way back.
Sure.
15 years old?
Dude.
4 years old, knowing you want to sing?
Dude.
There's something always special about people like yourself. There's a certain calling that God has instilled something from such a young age. What did it feel like that you knew at such a young age that this is my calling, this is where I want to be?
I don't know. It felt, I don't know. I don't know how to put into words, but it was, I feel like it's something that's divine, to be able to discover your purpose and your calling at a very young age. I believe it's divine, and I think it's a God thing, and it's God's grace, really. And I have to, give credit to my parents because they are the ones who molded and made sure that the space is safe for me. And I was never boxed up into the fact it's okay. Because in those days, it wasn't considered a career per se.
True.
Music, in those days, music was considered as something that I want to do. People were just lazy, people who don't want to work.
Yeah.
It's not a real job. It's just a hobby.
Yeah.
It's something you do for fun.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can do full time.
Like a career.
Exactly.
But
But thank God for my parents who, from the beginning, when they discovered that there's a gift, they made sure that they nurtured the gift and they made sure that they created an environment. I was even in a group with my parents. It was so difficult being in a musical group with my mom and my dad, because you can imagine once you get reprimanded at home and you get reprimanded. And you get reprimanded at work as well, it was a lot.
And I can imagine, this is like, oh my goodness, with work and play and everywhere at home.
Everywhere.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm truly grateful for my mom and my dad, because they're the ones who, when they saw the gift, they made sure that they surrounded me. They exposed me to possibilities, went on stage at a very young age. Probably when I think about it, I thought I was terrible, but they saw something greater and something bigger. And, only God can reveal that to a parent, and that for me was just, I'm so grateful for that.
So it was almost like the Jackson 5, right? Where you guys are working with parents, which was, that's something else, because it makes so much sense why you've just honed your craft at the level that it is. Yeah. And I always thought that. I was like, you have singers, whether in the church or outside of the church, and then you have singers. People who mastered the and you sang. But I guess it makes so much sense that you did that at such a young age.
Yeah.
But now as a child, how was that dynamic? And I almost can relate because I also started quite young in TV. How was that at school?
Yeah. It was It was I for example, I always tell the story, you can tell my kids, that the first pair of jeans that I actually got, I bought it myself. Because my mother was extremely adamant when it comes to image, in terms of the certain clothing you can wear. She made me very aware from a very young age that when you're a public figure, for lack of a better word, but I'm like, but Ma, I just go to church. Only people in church know me, and that's it. But she was so adamant in the dress code and in how I should look as a lady. I should wear heels. She was very, my mom was strict. It's like on point to the T. I was that kid that would wear a two-piece suit, and then have stockings. Yes. And then sandals on.
Yes. I think I only did that when I was like 25. But you're that girl.
I was that kid.
Amazing.
I was that
Yeah.
kid, you know, because she took it so seriously, the calling and the purpose of God upon my life. She wanted to teach me early that I have to look the part. I have to not only sing the part, but I have to look the part.
Wow.
And that really had, I mean, it was so intentional. Back then I didn't understand. I thought like, I was just being fussy. But now that I'm older, I actually get it. I understand why she did it, because it really helped shape my mind and see things in a certain perspective. Because people do look at you.
Yes.
You know, it's not just the voice that they hear, but it's also what they see as well. You know, and you know, being a kid growing up in such a strict environment and also having to go to school and also remembering that I'm still a kid as well. I have to play. It was very tough because from a very young age, my mom made it very clear, my parents made it very clear that I'm not like the other kids. I'm special, I'm extraordinary when it comes to my purpose and God's calling upon my life. But at the same time, at home, I'm still a child. So I still had to do the chores.
You just told me like I've got this purpose, but I still had to do the dishes.
I still had to do the chores. I still had to do everything that I'm supposed to do.
All of that,
responsibilities.
Yeah.
I still had to do it. At some point, because those Zulu girls.
Yes.
She would be like, lalela la ko microphone la. Uzowasha izitsha. Awusukume uwashe izitsha.
Which I love. I love that. Also, just because it brings about humility as well.
Absolutely.
And that balance, you know, as well. We love our Zulu mamas. You know? Absolutely. I think there's something beautiful about the fact that, yes, you've always had this calling, but also that our parents, there's something special that they did. And I hope any mother listening to this can also find it within themselves to do the same, to trust their parenting. Because what I'm hearing is that your parents trusted the process, trusted that wearing jeans and doing this and trusting your calling is the right thing to do, even if you may have questioned it, you know, but they just knew, they believed, there was no doubt in their parenting. And I think that's something so profound. We live in a time where we often have to question, and questioning is, it's not a bad thing. But there's also an element that we're losing of trusting, you know, our parenting skills.
That's so true. And you know, I think the thing that makes us question our parenting most of the time is the fact that we live in a world whereby there's so many opinions. And because there's so many opinions and they're all readily available, you know, you post a little small and innocent picture or an innocent video and people can misconstrue it and pinpoint things that aren't even there, or you know, highlight their ideas of what it looks like or what it should look like. We live in a very opinionated you know, generation, you know, and people voice out those opinions openly, you know, without taking into account the consequences of the things that they say and the things that they write, you know. So those are the things that have kind of made us not confident in our parenting, you know. And so we need to look into that. We'll see, what am I watching? What am I digesting? What am I you know, what am I looking at? What am I listening to? You know, all of those opinions can knock out a bit of the confidence that we have in ourselves.
And you're so right, because you're just getting, and look, the world is open now, so we're hearing it from all over the world.
Bombarded
we
by
are bombarded by chance of parenting, permissive parenting, you know, there's all of these things. And I guess it's to tap into your inner gut and God.
Absolutely.
And saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Right? I love how you speak so fondly of your mom, and you know, she's late, she's your angel. And I love the relationship you two had, such a special relationship.
She's amazing.
Right? But
Such
I think
a cool girl.
Such a cool girl. I love that so much. I think something else that you've normalized, which is so powerful, is that you are honest with your kids about not being okay in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's something I know I need to learn where, crying in front of my kids, oh no, they can't see me crying, they're too small, But you've normalized that, and it's true because even psychologists say, no, you need to show those emotions so they too normalize it when they grow up. How was that? How did you have that insight?
I I don't even think it was an insight per se. I think I was just trying to process the grief as best as I could. As you say, my mom and I were tight. We were besties. She was an incredible woman. If you came into contact with her, you'd want her to be your mama.
Yes.
She was that kind of mom. She will put you in your place. But she had the most amazing hugs. She was the sweetest person ever. She was kind, amazing, gentle, full of grace, but strict.
Yes.
Yes. She'll tell you if something is wrong and is off, and also gentle about it, and also loving about it. So I think that's why people loved her so much. She was loud, full of life. So you can imagine how much that can knock one off of their axis if you just suddenly lose a person like that. And that's what it felt like. It literally felt like I was knocked off balance. I was knocked off my feet. And I even said this at one point to my husband, that I wish my mother was more vulnerable with her grief when she lost her mom, because it felt like something I've never seen before, because it was just so, like, how do I process this? Where do I begin?
You're right.
Do I cry? Like, I'm angry. Like, what do I do with the anger? I'm not okay. What do I do with that? I told them, I'm like, I wish my mom had shown me her grief for her mom, because my mother also lost her mom at some point, and I never saw her cry. I didn't see her cry. I think she tried to hide it from us because all Mabetu are so used to the notion of protecting us from certain things, protecting us from their emotions. They always want to appear a certain way to us. And she's not a bad person for that. But she was doing the best that she could at that time.
Absolutely.
We process grief differently.
Sure.
So and for me, I think I want my girls to always be honest, and so it was important for me to do the same. If I say to my children that I'm their best friend, I want to be their best friend as much as I'm your mom, and there are rules and regulations and so forth, and disciplines that we have, and values that we have as a family. But I also want you to know that I'm an open book. I'm your best friend. I'm here for you. I should also do the same with them. They should also feel like they're a part of me. I can't expect them to be honest with me, but I'm not honest to them.
Yeah, that transparency is so important.
Yeah. But obviously with limitations. I'm not just saying just go and say whatever, but be wise about it. Be wise about it, And so I was very open with them, so that, because at the end of the day, we all lost someone as well. They also lost a big part of their lives, so I wanted them to know that it's okay to feel the way that you feel, and that's okay. We'll process this. We'll go through this together.
I love that. That's so empowering as well, because they have that reference point and you've provided that safe space for them.
Yeah.
I think something also interesting that I read recently is, so our parents being the boomers, their parents were almost a silent generation, and that's what they kind of labeled them as. And so their parenting style was very silent, just mute, you just literally. And so the boomers were very vulnerable, but because they came from that generation, couldn't really articulate their emotions and didn't know how. And it's beautiful now to see like the millennials in particular being more in tune with their emotions and now wanting to communicate that with their children.
Yes.
We'll see how it goes. We still watch the space, we'll even see how the gentle parenting goes.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting. But I think as long as there are the boundaries.
Yes.
There is some kind of disciplining. I think it is important to be able to speak to our kids, to be transparent with our kids, and just to be human, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And it also, I feel like it also reminds them as well that we're not, we have this as parents, we have this notion that I have to be perfect in front of my children. I have to constantly be this superhero, dum da da dum. I have to be a superwoman. I have to constantly wear my cape. But the truth of the matter is, we're just human as well. We also make mistakes. Sometimes we fall short. Sometimes we get things wrong. And it's okay as long as you learn from it, apologize where you have to apologize, and fix things if you can, and learn and grow and move on. If they don't see that in us as their parents, then what are we teaching them? I just feel like it's so important that we raise our children that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because my daughter loves one of your songs so much. She smiles all the time. And kids who are neurodivergent love music. So it's like they feel it a lot deeper. It's intense. Whenever you start singing, she loves the live show where you go, Jehovah is.
Nana.
Her eyes beam,
Angel.
And I think because your messaging is that, it's always so honest, it's transparent. It's saying, look, guys, we're doing this life thing together as best as we can, and your ministry as well, in your music, it's always so comforting. And I love the fact that your husband's that way as well. His sense of serenity, I just always feel calm. I feel like he's just such a sense of calm, and even his leadership, it's he sees and values everyone, and everyone kind of feels empowered as well. You guys now being public figures and having children, because I know this is a tough thing even for ourselves. How do you manage to navigate such a thing? Because you guys have done it so well, where you've managed to shield your kids, so well. But at the same time, look, I'm sure a lot of the kids at school are aware of, like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Mom and Dad, I'd be like, oh, just one song. I see, Mom, just for one song. Just to say one song, huh? How do they navigate that? And also because you got teenagers as well. How is that for them?
Sure. My kids recently moved schools, so they switched schools. Because when we started high school, and so she, like, within a week, she's like, "Oh man, Ma, they know who you are." I was like, "What do you mean? I don't even come to your school." She's like, "No, they figured it out somewhere. I don't know what happened, but they already know whose daughter I am." Like, hey, sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I think what we always had decided from when we got married was that we realized that people know us and we're public figures. That's a path that we chose for ourselves. But when it comes to our children, it's a different story. We cannot impose our choice on them, especially one that carries so much responsibility and a lot of weight. So we were intentional from the word go that we will protect them from that space. And because some things aren't secret, but they're private. It's not a secret.
You got to repeat that.
It's not a secret, but they're private. It's not a secret, but it's sacred. So that's how we treat our children. Everybody knows that we've got kids, but that's private and that's sacred. We're trying to raise them the best way that we can, with God's help, with His grace, and we're trying to be the best parents that we can possibly be. There are certain things that, for example, some people don't really like it, but the fact that when I'm with my children and it's their time, I don't take pictures with anyone. And I try to explain it to people that when I'm with my kids, especially if I'm not, because now they're older, so I tag them along when I'm working as well, when I'm going to church or whatever. But if I'm in church, then and I'm working, that's another story. We can take pictures. But if it's their time, whether we're out at lunch or going to a mall, I kindly request that we don't take pictures. I can give hugs, I can say hi, but this is their time, just so that they know that when it's their time, I'm completely focused on them. And I don't want my kids to resent the calling on my life. I want them,
Ooh,
because it
don't
can
want
get.
my kids to resent
I
the
don't
calling
want
of.
them, I
Wow.
don't want them to resent the calling on my life, because it's doing so many great things in people's lives. It's changing lives out there, and I don't want my children to grow up feeling like they didn't have a mother because of the calling. So it's up to me to set boundaries and rules that make sure that my kids always know that as much as I love my purpose, I love my calling, but they are a priority, and when I've set aside time for them, it's their special time.
I'm learning so much. I'm taking this all in. And look, I'm very protective, as you know, as
Yeah.
well. But I love what you said, where it mustn't feel like torture for them that,
Yes.
mom and dad are in the limelight.
Here we go again. Oh, pictures again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And why me? Why can't I just have a parent who's not in the limelight?
Yeah.
And that you guys have been so intentional about that, and just so caring and thoughtful, because it's easy sometimes as parents to just see yourself, but truly you guys have been selfless by really putting them first and their needs as well, in a way that is so detailed as well. God is in the details.
Yes,
And so I love that as well, where you have been so intentional and detailed about what could affect them negatively and both positively.
Yeah.
And that's for any parent, whether it's your child hanging around the right other kid, who are they having play dates with, or how they're doing at school, or is this the right school, all of that. But it's those little details as
They're
well.
so important, because I feel like, for example, my girls are they're very vocal.
I love that. But isn't it on all girls like that?
I'm trying to be nice here.
Girls, we love you.
They are very
vocal.
And they when they're unhappy, they will make sure that it's known, in the family, that I'm not okay about this, ma, So I have talks with them. I'm very involved with their schoolwork. I'm extreme, like even during lockdown, when we had lockdown, I was their teacher. Okay.
Wow. I tried.
Thank you.
I tried that, but that's because I think my son was 4 at the time,
and I was really good at it. Okay, if I can say so myself.
That's incredible, because a lot of parents tried and just
they were breathing through the wind.
It was real.
I loved it.
Oh wow!
I enjoyed it.
But that actually makes sense.
It was. And they loved me.
Because, because that's important. They loved
me too. They enjoyed me as their teacher, to the point that even afterwards, when everything was settling basically, and it was time for them to go back to school, Mangus was like, "Ma, can't we just continue the way things go?" And you're like, I just want to be homeschooled now.
I can imagine.
I don't want to go back, because I really enjoyed it. In high school, I was in the A class, which is I think I got it from my mom, because my mom was exceptional. She was an academic, she had a master's degree as well, and so she was incredible. She was an academic back then, so I was like the A student in the family, so everybody had high hopes, Dr. Mbambo or something.
We can feel it. That's how you can say
the first doctor in the family, and I was like,
I'm not doing that. I'm gonna say
I tapped out, So I really enjoyed it, and my kids. So I'm very involved in their schoolwork. I want to know, what are you learning? What are you struggling with? And then I helped here and there. as much as they have outside help, they've got tutors and so forth. But I'm very hands-on. I'm very involved. I want to know how are you doing this? Please show me the sum. How do you figure it out? They always call me their maths boffin because I love maths. I love maths. So
I wish I was a maths buffet.
Dude, I love maths.
Already, my son is doing grade 3 and already I'm like, I can see where this is going.
It's a nope.
I'm getting anxious. yeah.
I love maths. So whenever they have issues with their maths equations, they come to me like, Ma, how do I solve this? I'm like, give me a minute. And I'm like, then we sort it out together. So I love, figuring out how they're doing schoolwork, their school friends, how's that going? So I mean, it's so it's so important that we have an open door with our kids, so that they also feel valued, so they feel seen as well, and so that they feel accepted. So it's so important that we, as much as we love them, sometimes we love them and are so focused on the correcting and do this. It's also important that they feel like they are accepted just as they are.
Wow, that's so profound. It's funny. My son had a tutor beginning of this year, and then I could see it like, no, he's getting his way because he was able to charm. My son's very charismatic. He's like, we don't really have to go through this. And so then I took over.
Yeah.
And, he started doing really well. I mean, he's always done well, but like really well. And I just realized, I think he was also yearning for that connection.
Yes.
So I'm always around, fortunately, at home. But I think he just wanted that connection.
That extra connection.
Of like, you may find he sabotaged the whole tutor experience on purpose.
Highly possible. Highly possible.
But it's beautiful also because you also get this connection where you understand your child more, but also you having to be a better parent. Because I'll be impatient and be like, we need and you're distracted now. So, but you know what I'm saying? So it teaches you as well a lot of maybe things you didn't know about yourself. In that, okay, be patient. Have time for your child. Calm down.
They're going to get it.
Right?
Just give them time.
They're going to get it. Something I also find very interesting because, we also, everybody says screw. I'm not sure you're quite that performer.
No.
But not at all. But, when you are performing, because that is taxing as well, just in terms of that lifestyle, how do you manage, though, then to still be present as a parent? Because I know for myself, when I just dabbled in music, I never wanted to explore it fully, but just dabbling. I remember being on stage and being like, oh, I miss my baby.
Yeah.
I love being on stage, but I think a lot of people may not actually know this. You tap into different energies when you're on stage. It's electrifying. It's something else, and low-key also, yes, you're highly energized, but there's also an aggressive energy you have to tap into, you're highly stimulated. And then you have to then go off stage and play mom and be nurturing and be calm. And how do you manage to do both and just tap into different energies at the same time, or at different moments, at least? Because I find that something else just to de-escalate the situation. I've just performed in front of thousands of people. And now I have to be with my kids.
I think for me, it's my faith. I think my faith is what has helped me. Generally, I know people will say, nah, but there's no way. She's just been bubbly and exciting and so forth. But generally, I'm a shy person. I'm an introvert. But when you've had to be in the public eye from a very young age, you learn to mask it, you learn to cover it up, pretty well, and then in moments where you're like tired and then people understand, then they're like, how, but why is she being so funny? No, it's just because actually I'm just an introvert. Like I just want to dig a hole and bury myself and just disappear. So when it comes to that, I think for me, my faith in the God that I serve has really helped me, because sometimes it feels like the purpose and the calling is bigger and grander than you. My personality doesn't fit into the purpose and the calling. You know,
wow.
You know, when people see me on stage being grand and you know, and all of that, you know, what they see there, some people even say, like, I've got this lioness and going on.
Yes, you do.
That's not even.
So that's God's energy.
That exactly. In our language, we call it the Holy Spirit.
Yes,
it's the Holy Spirit working within me and using me at that time. And that's why I'm saying it's a faith thing. And it really is special, because even when you look at the Bible, if you read the story of Moses, you'll find that Moses had a whole lot of issues. At some point, when God calls him during the burning bush experience, he says, but how are they even going to hear me? I can't even talk. You're telling me all of these big things. You're telling me to lead the people of Israel out of captivity. I don't even know how to speak. You know, I stutter. These are my issues. I've murdered somebody. How am I going to do this? And God ultimately says during their conversation, he's like, I will speak for you. I will speak on your behalf. I will be your mouthpiece. So you do not need to worry about how you're going to do it. Just do it. Just follow me and I will do the rest. And that for me is what has helped me, is the complete surrender to God's purpose and God's will, the complete surrender to the working of the Holy Spirit, and, you know, just letting him do his will through me, you know. And I found out that it's not necessarily two separate beings, but it's a continuation, you know, because it's, I feel, for me, they're all ministry. The mom is a ministry to me. The woman that people see on stage, that's a ministry. You know, the wife for me is a ministry, you know, and all of it needs a divine enablement from God, you know. So it's not two completely different beings.
Yes.
Because then it sounds spooky. Like,
yeah.
No, but rather it's a continuation.
It is,
you know, it's different facets of one being. Yeah.
That you've just provided me with a sense of calm that I hope a lot of mothers are feeling right now listening to that.
Yeah.
That it's the Holy Spirit also in moments like that where you do have to be bigger than you are. And, you know, a lot of the time we don't trust ourselves. We say, I don't know if I can do this. If your child's in hospital, you don't know if you can do this and be there for your child. Or if your child is going through something big, you don't know, or if they've been abused in any way or anything has happened, and you need to stand up at that moment, and you don't feel like you're big enough to call on the Holy Spirit, you know, and know that it will be done. Yeah. That's so powerful.
It is, you know, man. And the truth of the matter is, we live in a world whereby it can get overwhelming, you know, the stress of it all, the notion of constantly having to perform as mothers, of constantly having to show up as mothers, can get daunting and strenuous, you know,
and
taxing, you know. So we constantly need divine enablement. That's what I call it, you know. A strength that is divine, that cannot be explained naturally, you know, and that's where, for me, that's where God kicks in, you know. And I'm someone who prays, I'm someone who reads scripture, and that has helped me, you know, to find my solace, to find calm even in the midst of the storm, to find peace, you know, and serenity, you know, in the midst of everything that goes on around me, is the solidity of my faith.
And it's so funny, as you're saying, you literally are this lioness, and I know a lot of people say who've met you, you just, hi. How are you? But she just sang, like, and then off stage, it's, oh, yeah, thank you. Like a photo. And it's true, where you can't even put the two together. You just think, how did that happen? That is such a gift and a calling from God, and it's beautiful to watch. I mean, guys, you should have seen it. Even like, hey guys, hey everyone, let me just get. And now, even speaking to you, what's coming out of your mouth again, is such a gift. Like I said, there's a sense of calm that I even feel as a mother, and I feel equipped just listening to you, as well. Really and truly, right? Awukhethile mfethu. Hawu shame. Hawu. Lalela kuyafika. Yeah.
Awuyazi naye.
Awuyazi naye. Out of 10.
Dear mothers and value members of the Motherhood Network, this is a gentle reminder to sign up for our newsletter. And while you're at it, please don't forget to click the like and subscribe button to ensure we continue to give you quality content you deserve. Plus, stay tuned for details on our Mother's Day 2026 event. It's going to be absolutely spectacular and something truly special. The Motherhood Network, a platform you deserve.
And you're so right. You've managed to be so transparent, as I said before, but also there's a sense of calm that you've always kind of had in you. Where does that come from, that energy? Is it your dad, is it your mother, or is it just being who you've always been? Because also, a student back then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And still being able to be the person you are, because you never give, and you've never given the sense of competitiveness or just, main character syndrome. Like, hey, it's me. It's only once you open your mouth, everyone's like, okay, right? Once you start singing or ministering in any way, that, of course, then you take center stage. And listen, honey, you've got to say it. Everyone knows, all over the world, you definitely do that so well. But just that sense of being and just confident, that almost quiet confidence that you have.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who taught you that? Was it any of your parents? I've always been fascinated by that.
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
I think it's a combination of both. My mother was very, what's the word? She was bold. And she had confidence on steroids, bruh. She was, like I said, she was an incredible woman. Yeah. And my dad as well, my dad was more the quieter one, but he was like the one who would be like, no, he was very firm as well, because in my early days, my father was my manager. So he was the one that negotiated on my behalf. And he's the one who, he actually was the one, when I recorded my first album, my dad paid for it. And after he, and I was like 13 when we released that album.
My dad did the same. Shout out to our fathers.
Really?
These are black fathers back then. I was 14. They're amazing. Yeah, absolutely. It was a Christmas gift. Like, I want a debut album. Baba, please.
So sweet.
That's amazing that your
dad did the same.
Did
for me too.
Wow.
Love daddy.
Shout out to the dads out there. We love you. We love you. Wow.
So yeah, my dad did that for me. And he was the guy who always gave me a boost of confidence, especially in myself. For example, if I had an interview, before I'd go in, whether I'd be in my school uniform, because I was still a teenager, I was in school. So some of the interviews would be in the morning before I'd go to school. So my dad would drive me there. And in the car, we'd have a conversation. And he'd let, like proper conversation, which, okay, this is ukhulume kanje. Ungakusho ukuthi kufanele ube intombazane nje uzwakala ukuthi uyazazi ukuthi ukhuluma ngani. So he would always give me that extra boost of confidence with lalela wena umkhulu kabi wena, you're amazing, and he would always affirm me. And even after the interview, we'd sit down in the car on the road to school. We would then have a conversation with okay, this is what you said, you shouldn't have said this, maybe next time put it in this way. Mhlampe kusasa ngoba vele next week you've got another one.
Yeah.
Awufunde nalokho. So he was always so invested in my musical career and in how I present myself and in how I talk in front of people. And that for me really helped, give me that extra boost from a very young age. As much as I had inherited it from my mother, but my father's input and his affirmation of me really helped a lot.
Wow. And now for your kids, I mean, you have two parents who are not only loving, have a strong sense of God, you know. And you know, kids go through different journeys in their own spiritual journey.
Yeah.
But how is that navigating where you don't want your child to lose God and how can we keep you close?
Yeah.
How do you guys navigate through that? Because, you know, kids go through their own relationship with God where they're just like, I gotta go to church again. How am I? You know, or where, and I remember for myself as a kid growing up, where like the first few years I was definitely being forced. I was like, there's a lot of people, and I had sensory issues. I'm like, yo, I'm seeing door, but I kind of like the song, you know. But do I have to be every Sunday? We gotta. Oh, so we're going again? And then of course, the older you get, that's all you want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
How's that been? Just that journey, your kids understanding the Lord and you hoping that they just get it. Because you hope that
you do,
right?
You know, because the thing about having a strong faith is that you feel so centered, you know, that no matter what comes your way, you feel like, okay, there's nothing I can't do, you know, and so it's with the world that we live in, there's so many challenges, you know, it's so easy to be, you know, swayed, you know, and it's so easy to also give up. You know, we live in, especially in the now generation, where there's so many issues surrounding mental health, you know, and so forth, you know. And for me, what has helped is my faith. You know, I'm not prescribing it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having mental health issues. There's absolutely nothing, you know,
wrong,
and that is your path. And if you have to take medication, go ahead. There's nothing wrong. I'm not of the notion that just because I'm someone of who is faith centered, I'm not someone who says therapy is wrong.
We all do what works for us.
Exactly.
Which is so
you know,
important. That's your autonomy.
That's your exactly. You know, so for me, faith has really just helped me. You know, so my husband and I felt like that we need to set that foundation for them, and in trying to set that foundation for them, we also pray for them. We pray that they find God for themselves, because being forced into it has no guarantees, you know.
Right? No, you're right.
No, it has no guarantees.
No.
But our duty as their parents is to constantly pray for them, you know, that they would have an encounter with God. Because when you have an encounter, then no one can tell you otherwise, you know, that they may experience God for themselves. Because I remember growing up, I also, you know, was forced into going to church. But until I had a personal encounter with God, until I had a personal experience, that no one can tell me, convince me otherwise about whether he's real or not, because I've got evidence. I've got personal facts.
Yes,
I've got a list, y'all. I've got a whole list, you know, of why I believe that this God is real to me. You know, to me.
I love that. Yes.
You know, so our prayer is that they may find God for themselves. You know, that they may have a personal encounter for themselves, as much as we can take them to church. And I've seen that they have had an encounter with God, and that is all that we've been praying for, you know, and that is special, because it's no longer a duty, but it's out of love, and that's important.
That's so important. I mean, it's there in the Bible as well, but you really truly have to let them go and just hope and trust in God's power, that they too will have their own encounter.
Absolutely.
And I love that, because then it's, again, going back to how honest and transparent you are.
Genuine.
It's genuine, you know, and I'm so glad that our kids get to experience such in this lifetime, where, you know, they get to experience their own encounter with God. And so for any mother watching this as well, because it's very tough, no matter what your kids are going through, all of our babies, you know, where there's a sense of just trusting and believing and knowing that, you know, not only are you praying for them, whatever you've instilled in them is enough.
Yeah. It's oh man. Motherhood is something else.
It is something else.
It is something else.
Listen.
And yo.
Right?
Because you do, man, you do so much. You pray, you try.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I said earlier, sometimes we get it right. And sometimes we just get it wrong. We
And
just
it's all of us.
we get the ball out the court,
Yeah.
and it's okay. Bottom line is that you've done the best that you can.
Yes.
And that is enough. That should be enough.
That should be enough.
It should be enough. I think we have to trust our children enough to allow them to understand that we're human. And that's okay.
You're right.
We don't have to constantly perform.
Yeah, we're human.
We just live and try to make sure that we help them maneuver life as best as we possibly can. And and God will do the rest. He will cover our children. He'll protect them.
And you've said this many a times, that being a parent is your highest ministry.
Yeah.
And just listening to you today, I get it. They are so blessed to have you. I know your husband would agree as well. But just as a mother, I feel like you've mothered us even before being a mom. I feel like, you've shown us, in so many ways where you've just given us a sense of comfort through your voice, through your talents, through your ministry. And now obviously you becoming a mother and being a mother now and seeing your kids grow up. It's so beautiful that you've just been so selfless about this journey. And it's never been about ego-driven parenting. It's always just about serving them, serving everyone else, and serving, most importantly, God.
Yeah. And I've also learned that in serving everyone else, I must also remember to serve myself.
Could you please repeat that?
That in serving everybody else and serving hubby and serving the babies and serving the God that I serve, I must also remember to serve myself. Lend myself a little grace. Be kind to myself. Give myself a break every now and then. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Mothers, never forget to serve yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We love you so much. What you have done all over the world, just moving people with your grace, with your talent, with your joy, your smile, your laugh is so contagious. Thank you just for being you and for doing it over 20 years.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We love and appreciate you so
Love
much.
you, man.